Soundbars are pretty popular additions these days to our sweet 4K TVs. But why? I mean, if those TVs are so great, shouldn't they have good sound built in? No, they sound terrible across the board. Today, I'm going to tell you why these TVs sound so terrible, and by the end of this video, you'll be armed with the knowledge that you need to go out and find the right soundbar for you to add on to your TV setup. And by the way, when I say you, let me be clear that I'm not really talking to the audiophiles out there. I'm not doing a super technical review of these soundbars. A little technical, but not a ton. Really, this is more about making sure that the average user, like me, knows what they're getting into. So, let's dive in. Thanks for watching, everybody. If this video turns out to be helpful to you or interesting in some way, give it a like. I'd appreciate that. That'd be very nice of you. Now, before we get to comparing the best soundbars on Amazon, let's establish a baseline for our sound so we have something to compare them to. This, over my shoulder, is the TCL 65S525, or in other words, it's the 65-inch Roku-enabled TCL Smart TV that I keep here in my studio. And it sounds awful. The volume is faint, and if I do crank it up, I can at least hear it, but it comes off really sharp, very tinny, with almost no bass response at all. And it's just really tough to listen to. So why is that? Well, historically, TVs have put their speakers on the front of the TV, like this 15-ish year old Vizio that I keep around for some reason in my basement. Now, speakers are put on the back of the TV, and they do that for a simple reason: to get rid of those bulky bezels. Because those thick borders that you see on those older TVs, that used to be where a lot of the TV's components were located, including the speakers. Now, the teeny tiny speakers are in the back, and the idea here is that the sound will bounce off the wall behind the TV and back to you so you can hear it. Sometimes that works okay, and sometimes your wall is covered in sound-absorbing foam. Well, what, you don't cover your walls in foam? Just me, I guess. Anyway, the backfiring speakers are only part of the problem. The other problem is that those backfiring speakers, well, they suck. My 65-inch 4K TCL TV comes with two speakers, each of which has an output of 8 watts, for a total of 16 watts. What does that mean? Well, if you're listening to something on little headphones that are right next to your ear, 16 watts would be more than enough. But to fill up a room with well-rounded sound, yeah, that's not happening. And you might be thinking, yeah, that's TCL, that's a budget brand, but the sweet new Samsung I'm looking at is gonna be way better. Well, think again. Even the mega 85-inch Samsung TU8000 series only has 20 watts of output, not much better than this TCL. Okay, so that's the baseline, and now it's time to bring in the competition. This is the Taotronics TT-SK023, which sounds more like a stormtrooper designation than a soundbar.
TK421, wire to at your post.
Now this is the budget option that we're going to be talking about here. The price does vary, but it's going to be the cheaper of the two that we're going to talk about today. So this budget soundbar has an output of 40 watts. Were you keeping track before? That TCL is 16. So already we're getting more than double the wattage than what the TV is giving me. And wouldn't you know it, it actually, shoots the sound forward so I can hear it. So compared to the TV sound, how does the Taotronics soundbar do? Pretty well, actually. I set up a test in which I watched about 60 seconds of the motorcycle chase from Mission Impossible Fallout. It's a plenty loud scene, which I can't show you because, Anyway, I sat on the couch with a decibel meter on my phone, which I know is not going to be a scientifically accurate decibel measurement, but hey, as long as I'm using the same bad tool across all the tests, it should work okay. According to that app, at the same output of about 33% of volume, the built-in TV speakers gave me 61.2 decibels of sound, while the Taotronics soundbar spit out 61.7 decibels. Now that doesn't sound like much maybe, but decibels are measured logarithmically, not linearly, which is just a fancy way of saying that 0.5 decibels really does make a difference. But it's not just about the loudness. What about the quality of the sound that we're getting here? The Taotronics bar does have a little more bass, but it doesn't do a ton to change the character of the sound you're hearing, mostly just its loudness and its presence. So it does better than the TV speakers, no doubt about that. But the bass is still lackluster, and the high sounds can still be a bit piercing. But that's where the Polk bar comes in. The Polk Signa S2 is bigger, badder, pricier, and it comes with a subwoofer. In that same sound test, the Polk came in at 64.4 decibels, 2.7 higher than the Taotronics. Now, to give you an idea of the difference, consider this. Every 3 decibels of increase means that you're doubling the sound output. Now that means you're getting almost double what you got from the Taotronics bar with the Polk, and more than double the sound as you got from the TV speakers. And again, it's not just about the amount of sound we're getting, it's also about the quality as well. The sound from the Polk was much more rounded. In fact, even though it was significantly louder, you'll also perceive it as significantly easier to listen to than either of the other 2 options, because of the subwoofer and its bass, which you can adjust to your taste. But whatever you adjust it to, chances are, it's gonna round out that sound a lot better. So here's the deal. If you're budgeting for a new TV, I'd say it's not just a good idea, it is vital to also budget in the cost of a soundbar or some other speaker. Like behind me on my Roku TV, I've got the Roku speakers. So just for fun, I tested those out, and they were even louder than the Polk for a little bit less price. But I do think the Polk ekes out a slight win in sound quality over those ones. But anyway, it doesn't have to be the Taotronics or the Polk. There are a lot of soundbars out there. But I would say there's a reason that these 2 are the top sellers on Amazon. The Taotronics really is a great budget option. It's not gonna light any audiophile's hair on fire, but yeah, it's a good budget option. And the Polk sounds light years ahead of the TV speakers or the Taotronics. You will pay a fair bit more for it. And as the price goes up, you'll get even better soundbars than that one. Anyway, ultimately, I'm hoping this video gave you a little more insight into why you definitely need a soundbar and what you should look for when you're shopping for one. And now you know what to do. If you like this video, give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit the comments with your thoughts below on your favorite soundbar if you're using one. Check out our merch store, by the way, where you can get a Craig is Always Right mug and a few other Reviews.org items, but the mug is the star of the show, let's be honest.